Welcome to Sufficiently Black, the podcast that explores what it means to be comfortable in your blackness. I'm here with...
You didn't say your name.
I always forget to say my fucking name. Well, I'm Janae, here with...
Kia Swinton.
And Amari Pollard.
So, guys, you know... If you haven't listened at this point and you're like, you don't know what's going on, refresher. We rebranded. We have a different name now. You know, we're the same girls. New name. That's about it. We're still cool. Amazing. We love you. You love us. It's fantastic.
That was a really good segue. Got interesting today. It'll be after we're recording on Indigenous Peoples Day. And someone on Twitter today took it upon themselves to use a clip from one of Adele's IG live videos to represent a reenactment of Christopher Columbus not discovering anything. And the caption reads, "Christopher Columbus arriving in the Caribbean." And the video of Adele goes, "Oh, hello, India." And it's super funny. I hope we include the link in the show notes so everyone can get what we're referencing. But I just thought it was funny, also because Adele too thinks she's discovered Caribbean things. And maybe, but I'm also realizing maybe Adele is my new problematic fave, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm very excited for that new album to hit in the dead of like dreary fall, so I can be on my moody girl shit. My black heart loves that stuff. But I just thought it was interesting.
Wait a minute. On the Adele front, did you guys see those pictures that she just
for Vogue
took? Yes, for Vogue. I was trying to figure out who it was for. Okay, this is another moment where I'm kind of like, was I thinking too deep? In the pictures, I see like a full dark lip. I see like tan skin. I see almond eye shape. I just looked at the picture and I was like, Adele, first the Caribbean things, then the string of black men. And now I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, is that a black woman?
I didn't look at the pictures as much because she's kind of like my problematic fave, because I'm just like, something about the Bantu knots mixed with the string of black men is not sitting right with me. And the fact that she like went on SNL and didn't address it, and then had a fucking skit about going to Jamaica and dating black men and not addressing it still, I was like, now it's getting rude.
Reminds me of Khloe Kardashian. It's like very much in the realm. I mean, granted, all the Kardashians, but specifically her, because she too had that Bantu knots, and then she also like has her string of black men. But it's just like very interesting too, because like if you like just seeing, I used to be obsessed, you know, with Adele, like chasing pavements every morning before school. I'd watch that on VH1, like that was my stuff. So it's very interesting to like see the evolution, but also like, I don't know if people forgot, there was like this, I know people had some thoughts about Adele's Grammy acceptance where she like pointed out to like, she had beat Beyonce, and then she like was talking about Beyonce, and I know people had like an issue with how she framed that.
I don't remember. I remember that speech, but I don't remember like what the issue was.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember being excited about it, the fact that she gave Beyonce credit.
That's what I
kind of like, Beyonce should have won.
I think she knew that like, yo, these black people are gonna come for me if I don't shout out Beyonce. I feel like she low-key knew, which is again why I'm mad like at her not acknowledging. Like, it would be better if she would just acknowledge like, hey y'all, I was out of pocket for those Bantu knots. I like black men, and I went too far. Like, I'd rather her say that than like do it, not address it, and then it's like she's been linked to how many black men now that it's just like, oh, so bitch is just like, you know, rinse and repeat, it seems like.
I feel like for anyone listening who might be a new listener and they're like, damn, these girls be like zing zapping people. At the end of the day, if you do some fuck shit and claim it, I won't be mad at you.
And that's the black way, though.
And that's the black way. If any black woman who is out here trying to get a tan and trying to look like us, we know that our shit is the shit. We know it. And we know that that's why everyone is trying to jump on it. But if you stand up in your caucasity and say, look, black people are the shit. I think big lips are cool as fuck, and I love me some black men, I would be like, I ain't even mad. But until you step up, I'ma roast your ass. That's it.
I think that's fair.
Just say it.
That should be the name of this podcast, and that's
Just
the Black Way.
That's a new tagline.
That's the new tagline. That's the Black Way. Because I feel it. I feel like black people are those type of people where it's like, as long as you like come to me straight and like, you know, keep it buck, it's like whatever. But it's like I can't deal with the whole like fake not acknowledging it, and it's just like, I love Adele, but it's really hard to get behind her when it's just like, and then it's really hard to like not be annoyed at like black men when it's like, you know, white women can just wake up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna try Negro today, and they can have like a line of them and show like, you know, that's how it feels like, and it's so frustrating.
It so feels like that. It feels like white women can wake up and they just like scroll through like a list of options, say, I'm gonna try fox eyes. I'm gonna try making my eyes look kind of Asian. I'm gonna get lip fillers. Let me try that. Let me put a bindi on. Let me see. And then the men of that race flock. It's like, God damn, y'all that easy, huh?
Yeah, bro.
For other people.
Y'all that easy. Y'all that easy.
We can't have the actual hair texture, you know, like whatever the actual lips they want to. No, it's not enough.
But anyway, anti-ways, because we can, once again, this is another thing that we could talk about for 9-11 years, and we've done it before. But let's get into like our discussion for today, which is something that us girls have always ruminated on, but it's the ride or die myth. Is it a myth? Should we attach myth to it?
I feel like, Janae, you're the one that came up with this episode, right? Like, you had a reason why you wanted to address it.
Yeah, and I did, because I was a ride or die. And I had always felt like I had seen time and time again this idea that if you stick beside him and if you support him and lift him up, that everything's going to be copacetic. And I just feel like black women are even shamed when they don't do that.
Can I ask you where you got that mentality from? Like, before you went into that situation, like, is there something you had looked at where you're like, I need to do this for him, or like, he's not going to stay?
I think that I've seen it in popular media a lot, and I think even before that, I've seen that somewhat in a lot of family dynamics. I've seen that even with my parents in some degree, not nearly as toxic or bad as mine, but my mom has really, really held down the fort when it came to my family, when my dad was trying to figure out his business and figure out what he wanted to do. And not saying that my dad didn't work hard, and not saying that my dad was, you know, not doing what he needed to do. But, you know, my mom was the one who was doing so many jobs and really, really working hard. And I just feel like in other family members, I've seen that too. So you grow up kind of seeing that. And then you even hear in songs, you see in movies where it's like black women are constantly like, okay, you live your dream and do what you need to do, and I'll help you live your dream too, or along with holding down a job and helping you start your job, supporting the kids, managing the household. I just feel like I've seen that modeled in my life so much.
I've seen that.
Yeah, Amari.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like I've seen that more, or like heard like family tales of it more so when it happens like with like interpersonal like relationships. Like, I think there's like this one specific like family story of, I can't remember, like in relation to me. Anyways, like some like, you know, like a few like generations or whatever, like family member had a husband, stepped out on her, had kids. And she was always like brought up as like this pinnacle of like, you know, like she stayed, and like she like, that was a really difficult time and X, Y, and Z, and she stayed with him, and you know, she even helped, you know, like raise his extra, like the kids that he had outside of their marriage, and she like lived with that. And it was kind of like this, like the story was told to me as like just like very glowy, And so, like, in my head, I feel like those are, like, the stories that are kind of, like, told to us again and again, or, like, examples we see of women sticking by their spouses despite, like, extramarital affairs and all this stuff. And, like, hey, like, I know every relationship is different, and it's definitely up to you as a person. But I feel like when you see that and you hear those stories, then then you begin to think, like, oh, it's normal for that to happen in a relationship. Two, that should I should not pause as much when that happens. Like, I should just, like, go along with it more.
Yeah.
And I definitely, I don't know. Yeah.
To piggyback off of that really quickly, on top of me kind of growing up with that, with my parents, it worked out. Like I said, my dad's no slouch. My dad's a go-getter. So although my mom had to be the person who was running the house and really staying at a job that she hated for years, my dad's business ended up doing incredibly well.
The thing
and my
is that
parents are
that's
so stable and in love. And I've always thought that, if the man want to, figure out his life, that's cool. I'm gonna help him because I know one day he's gonna have me. The same way I looked at my parents and I was like, my dad is a stand-up, amazing man who I know will sacrifice everything. And it's like, one day his business was popping, and I'm like, one day my man, his stuff will be popping and we good, and I'll just hold it down for now, But
the thing is that, like, I think it's, like, okay, like you said, Amari, but the thing is that's the exception to the rule. And the issue with this mentality is that this is oftentimes the rule in the Black community, and it's not the exception to the rule. And so, like, yes, your dad did it, it's the exception to the rule, but it's like, okay, the rule for us is, like, we see Beyonce, ride or die. He, Jay-Z cheated on him publicly. I'm going to write a whole song about it, whatever. We see Gabrielle Union had a whole baby with another woman when she had, 9 miscarriages. It's like the constant, this is what we see. Yeah, that happened. That's why I can't get behind that couple. That's me.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I love that couple.
She talked about it in her book, too. I don't know if she goes into more detail about... I don't know if they broke up because she was having trouble having kids. I don't know, but either way, that's definitely a hard pill.
It's a hard pill to swallow. And then you see the shows that I don't know what's the OWN show that everyone roasts on Twitter. Is it like Black Love or something? That you guys probably have seen it, but it's always these stories of the Black woman standing there with her. I think one girl murdered someone or some shit for her man. I don't know. It was crazy, but it's always some wild story about
there was that weird story.
She had basically murdered someone or something. Someone died.
There was another one. There was another couple where they were living with his ex-wife.
Hell no.
I think it was to help the kids and make it easier. But that's something we not gonna do. I ain't gonna ride with you and your ex-wife in the same house.
But I feel like part of it is
we can live
the
next
media.
Door.
No, we're not even doing that, my guy. We're not doing that.
And I do really feel like, okay, none of us have ever been married. And I do understand that, people
don't need
be
to
married
be.
for a long time. No, people be married for a long time and people change and things shift and mistakes are made. I get it. But I do feel like with Black women, this is a very specific instance where we are told from a young age to support Black men and help Black men and really, really be there for Black men in situations where we may not be getting served 100%.
And the thing is, that's not being said to the Black men being raised. What's being said to them, it seems like you're perfect, you're a king, as long as you don't have kids and as long as you don't go to jail, you're a catch and you have a job, that's it. And it's funny because I was talking to my aunt this weekend and when you're just thankful that it's sad when you see stories, but you're thankful that your generation has kind of evolved, because I'm the internet sucks, but it's so many things that I can see and read to I think kind of shaped me at this age, where I was speaking to my aunt who's 60. And she was just talking about how, she just thought, her husband was good because he was, a Black man that had a job and had no kids. And that was, kind of the only requirement they really had, at that time. And it was a little sad to hear, but she was, hearing about how she was, okay with that. And she, had how much she had learned and, what was, her non-negotiables. It was just, interesting to hear that story. But, I'm also wondering, what's being told to women and men of other races, because I feel like we just don't see that whole ride or die mentality as much as it is in the Black community. And in the Black community, it does seem like very, very one-sided.
Okay. So in other communities, I do think that it exists, but I think it's a little different. I think because I do know people that are in, you know, Arab or Indian communities, and it's kind of like y'all get married and then if shit hits the fan, you stay. You know, like you don't get divorced. And I think the difference with Black communities is that stability aspect is not there, where you're expected to be a ride or die with someone just because you're in a relationship with them. I feel like in other communities, it's like we promised marriage and we've intertwined our lives with each other. So we're not ending the shit, even if someone is abusive or, you know, has a lot of other shit going on.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
And I don't necessarily know if one is better than the other. But like I said, I feel like with Black relationships, there's not the commitment aspect always.
There's also not the providing aspect too, though.
Yeah.
I feel like the commonality between all of it is that usually, like most things in life, the women get the short end of the stick, because even if you don't ride or die and you leave or whatever, but say you're married and have kids, like where does that fall on, you know?
Because you're not going to leave your kids, and men oftentimes do that because they can, or they don't have another bond like a mother does.
It really reminds me of this conversation I had one night. I think it was like either a year or two ago. And we were just like, you know, drinking late night, just chatting and stuff. And we're talking about men and their preference to not wear protection. And I was like, okay, well, what happens if you don't wear protection and you have a kid with this woman? And a few of them were like, well, I'm going to just have to tell her, like, it's your choice. You can do what you want, but I'm not ready to be a dad right now. And so,
but you're ready to fuck unprotected?
And you're saying, like, that's where I leave it. Like, I'm just not ready to be a dad. So, like, you're automatically saying, like, you just don't know what you're going to give that person. And I feel like it's just automatically, like, always, the responsibility is a lot of times put on women to carry out things. And men just get to, like, walk away and live their lives. And even, like, when you hear a lot of stories about couples where it's like, oh, he wanted to go get his, like law degree or something. So, like, and he needed money. So I worked and I held down the fort and I did all this stuff and I helped pay him to get, like, pay for him to go through college and all this stuff. I feel like those are, like, popular stories in movies.
And did he leave you? Did he cheat on you?
And, like, some stuff like that happens. And I'm just, you know, I'm all about egalitarian relationships. So if I'm a ride for you and potentially die, which I'm not, but if I was, you better do the same for me. And if I'm not getting that energy back, we're
Amari, you brought up a good point, because when I was doing my little research up in here, I was looking at the definition, and it was when you're willing to do anything for someone you love or someone you really appreciate in your life, the person who you stand in any problem, and vice versa, is the common bold vice versa, which is also sometimes it's not. But I actually didn't know it was like ride till the end or die trying. I guess it was like get rich and die trying, same thing.
And to be real with you, I like the idea of being with someone and knowing that, like, we're a team and we're you know, we're doing the thing together. It's ride or die, you know? I like that idea, but it has to be 50-50, and I feel like so often it is not.
And I'm also not gonna, and it has to be reasonable, you know? Like, if you're being unreasonable, I'm not gonna ride or die with you for that. Like, we're gonna sit down and have a conversation, and we're gonna go through stuff, because I'm not gonna blindly follow you. And I feel like this happens sometimes, too, in, like, friendships. I feel like when I was younger, I would more so prescribe to this idea of, like, oh, you don't like her? Bet I don't like her either. Like, I'm not gonna deal with her. And as an adult, I look back on those situations, and I'm like, I didn't have a problem with her. Why was I, like, putting stress on myself and creating a problem just because my friend didn't want to talk to her? But because I was worried my friend wasn't going to like me if I talked to her. And then it's like, well, then dang, that's not your friend. Like, why am I riding for you? And then come to find out, those same friends ain't riding for me the same way. So I had to cut them. So, you know, it's just, you just got to think about things.
Okay, well, if all hearts and minds are cleared, we out this bitch. So thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode. You can talk to us on social media at sufficientlyblk. Email us at sufficientlyblackpodcast@gmail.com with any questions or feedback. We want to chat, so chat us up. You can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts, and don't forget to follow us so you don't miss any new episodes. Until next time,
Bye.
Bye.